Emily woke up to the soft golden light streaming through her bedroom window. The kind that made everything look warm and alive. Today was her 18th birthday, a milestone she had imagined for years. But as she sat on the edge of her bed, a strange mix of excitement and emptiness filled her chest. Her 18th birthday had always seemed like it would be magical, the kind of day people remembered forever. Yet this morning it felt quiet, almost ordinary. Her friends were busy with their own plans, and the absence of her mother, who had passed away years ago, made the day feel even lonelier. She missed the small traditions they used to have: the breakfast her mother made, the way she always tied a ribbon around a gift, the little notes left on the table. Those memories tugged at her heart, leaving her both nostalgic and sad. A knock on the door startled her out of her thoughts. "Happy birthday, Emily," her father, Daniel, said, stepping in with a soft smile. He held a small, neatly wrapped box in his hands. Simple yet elegant. Emily's curiosity sparked as she accepted it, carefully unwrapping the delicate paper to reveal a silver necklace, understated and graceful. It was beautiful, but it was more than just the gift. It was the thought and care behind it. Emily felt a surge of emotion. Her father had always been quietly supportive, always noticing the little things she loved even when life made it difficult for him to show it openly. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly, her eyes glistening with tears she tried to hold back. Daniel nodded, his expression warm but with a hint of mischief. "Get ready, Em. Today isn't going to be ordinary," he said, his voice carrying an excitement she hadn't heard from him in years. Emily raised her eyebrows, a flicker of curiosity and anticipation stirring in her heart. What did he mean? What did he have planned? She got dressed quickly, choosing her favorite light blue dress, the one that swayed just enough to make her feel graceful but comfortable. As she came down the stairs, she noticed Daniel was already ready, keys in hand, eyes sparkling with an emotion she couldn't quite place. There was a quiet energy in the house that made Emily's pulse quicken. It wasn't just a birthday, it felt like the beginning of something she hadn't expected. Something important. As they drove, Daniel didn't speak much, but the silence wasn't uncomfortable. It felt more like a calm, shared understanding, a prelude to whatever surprise awaited her. Emily watched the familiar streets of her town slowly blur past the car window, the sunlight reflecting off the leaves and rooftops, casting the world in warm hues. A soft breeze drifted in, carrying the faint scent of autumn flowers. And Emily couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope that today might be different from all her past birthdays. Daniel finally spoke, breaking the quiet with a gentle tone. "Remember when you were little and we used to drive out to the countryside?" Emily thought back to those trips, long afternoons spent running through fields, picking wildflowers and laughing until their sides hurt. Those memories were some of her happiest, and the thought of revisiting them now, on her 18th birthday, brought a flutter of excitement. She glanced at her father, noticing a tender softness in his eyes, a mixture of nostalgia and anticipation. "I think you'll like what I've planned," he said cryptically. Emily smiled, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. By the time they arrived, Emily realized they were heading to a place she hadn't visited in years, a sprawling vineyard, surrounded by rolling hills that glowed under the afternoon sun. The air smelled sweet and fresh, carrying hints of grapes and wildflowers. Her heart lifted instantly. It was more beautiful than she remembered, peaceful yet full of life. She turned to her father, who simply smiled at her, his eyes reflecting a quiet pride. Emily felt a lump in her throat. She had never known he could go to such lengths just for her happiness. As they walked through the entrance, Emily noticed subtle signs of preparation tables set with flowers, soft music floating through the air, and a sense of anticipation that made her pulse quicken. She felt a mix of emotions: joy, surprise, and gratitude. Daniel had always been her quiet protector, the one who carried the weight of their small family with grace. That this felt like a declaration of love, a promise that he would always be there to make her feel special. Emily's thoughts drifted to the future. She was stepping into adulthood, a world of possibilities, choices, and dreams. And in that moment, surrounded by beauty and sunlight, she felt a comforting certainty that no matter where life took her, her father's love would always be a steady presence. Yet, beneath her excitement, a spark of curiosity lingered. Daniel had hinted that the day wasn't ordinary, that there was something more waiting for her. What could it be? The question danced in her mind, mingling with anticipation and a subtle flutter of nervousness. She could sense that whatever was coming, it would be a memory she would carry forever. As Emily followed her father further into the vineyard, the golden light brushing her hair, she realized something important. Birthdays weren't just about gifts or parties. They were about the people who cared enough to make you feel seen, loved, and remembered. And in that quiet, sunlit moment, she understood that her father was about to give her something far greater than any present a day she would never forget. Her heart swelled with emotion, and a soft smile spread across her face, mingling with the thrill of curiosity. Whatever was about to happen, Emily knew it would change her forever. Emily's heart raced as she stepped out of the car and took in the scene before her. The vineyard stretched endlessly, rolling hills touched by sunlight, dotted with grapevines and golden wildflowers. It was more beautiful than she had imagined, and she felt a mix of awe and curiosity. The quiet hum of nature blended with a soft melody carried on the breeze. She turned to her father, Daniel, who stood beside her with a faint smile, eyes glinting with excitement. "This is incredible," Emily whispered. He nodded, and there was a tenderness in his gaze that made her chest tighten. She sensed that he had orchestrated something more than just a beautiful day. As they walked toward the main area, Emily's eyes widened in surprise. Tables were adorned with fairy lights, soft ribbons, and fresh flowers. Friends she hadn't seen in months greeted her warmly, their smiles genuine and full of joy. There were even a few relatives she rarely visited, creating a mix of laughter, chatter, and hugs that made her feel loved and noticed. Emily felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She had never expected such a grand gesture. Every detail, the colors, the music, even her favorite flowers, spoke of Daniel's careful planning. It was as if he had thought of every little thing that could make her feel special. "Happy birthday, Emily," her friends called, gathering around her with laughter and playful teasing. She laughed too, feeling the warmth spread through her chest. The happiness in the moment was almost overwhelming, yet there was something more beneath the surface. Her father stayed nearby, a calm presence as she interacted with everyone. She noticed the subtle way he watched her, the soft protective glow in his eyes. It wasn't just pride. It was a deep, unspoken love that made her feel cherished. Emily realized she had never truly noticed this side of him, the way he quietly gave without expecting anything in return. The way he crafted moments that mattered more than gifts. As the afternoon unfolded, Emily wandered between the tables, savoring the food, the laughter, and the gentle music that floated around them. She felt light, almost weightless, swept up in the happiness of the day. But her curiosity about Daniel's earlier words, "Today isn't ordinary," lingered. She wondered what else he had planned, what surprise awaited her. The sense of anticipation made the day feel even more thrilling, like turning the pages of a story she couldn't wait to read. Daniel motioned for Emily to follow him. Her heart skipped a beat as she glanced at him, unsure what he had in mind. They walked through a winding path lined with flowering vines, the air sweet and fragrant. The sunlight slanted gently through the leaves, casting golden patterns across the ground. Emily felt a quiet excitement, tinged with nervousness. She trusted her father completely, but something in his expression told her that the day was about to become even more unforgettable. Finally, they reached a secluded spot, slightly apart from the laughter and music. A small wooden arch covered in delicate flowers. An ivy marked the entrance, and behind it lay a secret little garden Emily had never known existed in the vineyard. Her breath caught. The place was magical, intimate, and serene, as if it had been waiting just for her. Daniel turned to her, his voice soft. "There's one more part, Emily, something I've saved for the end." Emily's curiosity surged. She could feel the intensity of the moment, the combination of love, surprise, and mystery that made her pulse race. Daniel led her through the arch, and Emily's eyes widened further. A picnic blanket was laid under a large oak tree, surrounded by lanterns that glowed faintly even in the afternoon sun. On the blanket were small, thoughtful touches, her favorite snacks, a handmade card, and a photo album filled with memories from her childhood. Emily ran her fingers lightly over the pages, recognizing old family pictures, moments she had almost forgotten. She felt a wave of nostalgia, a quiet ache for the past, and a deep appreciation for the effort her father had put into remembering every detail. "Every moment of today is about you," Daniel said, kneeling beside her and holding her hand. "I wanted you to know how much you're loved, not just by me, but by everyone who cares about you." Emily felt tears well up again, but this time they were tears of pure gratitude. She looked at her father, really looked at him, and realized how much he had given her over the years, not just material things, but love, guidance, and the quiet strength to face life. This day, this entire surprise, was his way of showing her that all of it mattered. Just when Emily thought the day couldn't become more magical, Daniel reached into his pocket and handed her a small envelope. "There's one last thing," he said. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it, revealing a note in familiar handwriting. It was from her mother, written long ago, meant to be read on her 18th birthday. Emily's heart tightened as she read the words, filled with love, encouragement, and hope for the future. She felt as if her mother were there with them, smiling softly and sharing this moment. The combination of her father's planning, her friend's presence, and her mother's message made her feel deeply cherished and profoundly understood. Yet, even as Emily absorbed the moment, a flicker of curiosity remained. She sensed that her father had one more surprise waiting, something he had been holding back. The anticipation made her heart beat faster, a mix of excitement and wonder. She looked at Daniel, who smiled knowingly, and felt a rush of love and gratitude. This was no ordinary birthday. This was a day that would remain in her heart forever. A day when she truly felt seen, loved, and celebrated. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm glow across the vineyard. Emily breathed in the sweet air, feeling happiness and love intertwining in her chest. She knew the day wasn't over, that something extraordinary was still waiting. And as she held her father's hand and looked around at the magical scene, she understood that birthdays weren't just about gifts or parties. They were about connection, thoughtfulness, and moments that would stay with you forever. Why followed her father along a narrow path that led away from the main celebration, her curiosity growing with each step. The laughter and music of the vineyard faded behind them, replaced by the soft sounds of rustling leaves and distant birdsong. She felt a quiet thrill, sensing that this part of the day held a deeper meaning, something personal and unforgettable. Daniel's hand brushed hers occasionally, a gentle reminder of his steady presence. Emily's heart beat faster. She couldn't imagine what surprise he had planned next. They arrived at a small pond at the edge of the vineyard, its surface sparkling under the afternoon sun. A little wooden boat floated near the shore, tied loosely to a post. Emily's eyes widened in recognition. She remembered visiting this pond as a child, sitting on the grass while her father told stories, moments that had always felt magical and comforting. Nostalgia washed over her, mixed with a quiet ache for her mother, whose absence was still deeply felt. She realized this place had been chosen carefully, a bridge between her past and the present. Daniel smiled softly, as if he could read her thoughts. "You loved this spot when you were little," he said, his voice gentle. "I thought it was time to bring it back." Emily nodded, her throat tight with emotion. She stepped into the boat, the wood creaking slightly beneath her weight, and felt a wave of calm wash over her. Daniel joined her, and they floated slowly toward the center of the pond. The water reflected the sky, painting everything in soft gold and blue hues. For a moment, the world felt suspended, peaceful and still, as if it had been waiting for this exact moment. As they drifted, Daniel began telling stories from his own youth, stories Emily had never heard before. He spoke of first loves, moments of heartbreak, dreams he had chased, and lessons he had learned along the way. Emily listened intently, captivated by his voice, the way he spoke with honesty and emotion. She had always seen her father as strong and dependable, but in this moment she discovered his tender, reflective side. His stories carried a warmth and vulnerability that made Emily feel closer to him than ever before. Then Daniel handed her a small envelope. "I've saved this for today," he said softly. Emily's fingers trembled as she opened it, revealing a letter from her mother. Her eyes widened, and her breath caught. The handwriting was unmistakable, the words filled with love, encouragement, and hope. Her mother had written this letter years ago, anticipating the day Emily would turn 18. Tears streamed down Emily's cheeks as she read, each sentence a reminder of her mother's enduring presence in her life. She felt a mix of sorrow and joy, longing for the past and gratitude for the love that still surrounded her. Daniel watched quietly, giving her space but staying close enough to offer comfort. "She wanted you to know how proud she is of you," he said gently. Emily's voice shook as she whispered, "I can feel her love, Dad. Thank you for bringing this to me." He nodded, his own eyes glistening. In that quiet moment, Emily felt a profound connection not just to her mother, but to her father, who had carefully created this experience to honor both of them. It was a gift far greater than any material present. It was a memory etched in her heart, a reminder of family, love, and the bonds that endure through time. The boat drifted closer to the shore, and Emily stepped out, still clutching the letter. Daniel led her to a small seating area under a canopy of trees, decorated subtly with fairy lights that glimmered in the softening light. The place felt intimate, a private corner of the world designed just for her. "I wanted today to be more than a birthday," Daniel said. "I wanted you to feel the love that surrounds you, the memories that shape you, and the strength that's always been inside you." Emily looked around, taking in every detail, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. Every element of the day, the vineyard, the boat, the letter was a reflection of her father's thoughtfulness, his desire to give her a day she would never forget. As they sat together, Emily realized how much she had grown. She was no longer the little girl who had run through these fields. She was stepping into adulthood, and yet she could still find comfort in her father's presence. The day had transformed into something more meaningful than she had expected. A journey through memory, love, and quiet reflection. She felt a deep sense of connection to both her parents, a reminder that even in absence, love could be present in the most tangible ways. Just when Emily began to think she had experienced the fullest measure of her birthday, Daniel's expression shifted slightly, a subtle mix of excitement and anticipation. He reached behind the tree and pulled out a small bundle wrapped in soft fabric. "There's one last part," he said with a hint of mystery. Emily's heart skipped a beat. She leaned forward eagerly, her mind racing with possibilities. The day had already been magical, yet Daniel's words promised there was still something extraordinary waiting for her. Emily took a deep breath, her eyes locked on her father's. In that moment, she felt an unspoken promise that whatever came next would be unforgettable, a memory she would carry with her forever. The soft rustling of the leaves, the gentle shimmer of the pond, and the quiet warmth of her father's presence created a moment suspended in time. She knew that this birthday was unlike any other, and that Daniel had poured his heart into making it extraordinary. The anticipation hung in the air like a delicate thread, pulling Emily forward with excitement and curiosity. She had no idea what the final surprise would be, but she trusted her father completely. And as she sat there under the glowing trees, holding her mother's letter and feeling the love around her, Emily realized that some moments carefully crafted with thought, love and memory could become a part of you forever. Today was already unforgettable, and she knew it was only just beginning. Emily's heart raced as Daniel reached behind the tree and pulled out the last part of the surprise. She felt a wave of excitement mixed with curiosity, wondering what could possibly top the day so far. He handed her a small card and guided her toward a gently lit path leading deeper into the vineyard. The soft glow of fairy lights flickered on the vines, creating a magical atmosphere that made her feel as if she had stepped into a dream. The air was warm, fragrant with flowers, and filled with the soft hum of nature around them. Every detail of the day had been crafted to create beauty and wonder, and Emily felt as though she were walking through a storybook. As they reached the clearing, Emily saw a local musician waiting with a guitar in hand. Daniel had hired him to play a song, one that Emily loved but had never heard live before. The first notes floated softly through the air, gentle and melodic, instantly stirring emotions she didn't expect. The music carried a sense of nostalgia, a longing that tugged at her heart, but it was tender and comforting, not sad. Emily felt herself relax, the tension of curiosity melting into awe. The melody seemed to wrap around her, filling the space between her and her father with a quiet intimacy that made her heart flutter. Daniel watched her closely, smiling softly. He had orchestrated every moment of the day, not just to celebrate her birthday, but to celebrate the person she was becoming, the young woman stepping into adulthood, full of dreams, hopes, and potential. Emily realized that this day had been about far more than gifts or parties. It had been about love, connection, and creating memories that would last a lifetime. The way her father had anticipated every feeling, every moment of wonder, made her feel deeply seen and understood. The musician's song ended, leaving a gentle silence in the air, and Emily felt a rush of gratitude toward her father. She hugged him tightly, her emotions spilling over. This is unforgettable, Dad. Thank you, she whispered. Daniel held her close, his own eyes shimmering with emotion. You deserve it, Emily. Always, he said softly. She felt warmth spread through her chest, a quiet happiness that was stronger than anything material. This moment, this day, was hers to carry forever. As the twilight deepened, the vineyard transformed into a soft, golden world. The fairy lights glimmered like stars among the vines, and Emily felt a sense of calm settle over her. Daniel led her to a small bench overlooking the vineyard, the horizon painted in shades of pink, orange, and purple. The beauty of the sunset mirrored the emotions she felt inside: joy, love, and a bittersweet understanding of the passage of time. She realized that birthdays weren't just about celebrating age, but about appreciating the people who love you, the memories that shape you, and the moments that leave an imprint on your heart. Emily opened the final card Daniel had given her. Inside was a personal note from him, reflecting on their journey together, how he had watched her grow, how proud he was of the young woman she had become, and how he hoped she would always carry confidence, love, and courage into the future. Tears blurred her vision as she read the heartfelt words. She felt a powerful connection to her father, deeper than she had ever experienced before. It wasn't just love, it was understanding, respect, and a bond built over years of shared struggles and triumphs. Daniel's hand rested gently on hers as they sat in quiet reflection. Emily felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She thought of her mother too, whose letter had made the day even more meaningful. The combination of her mother's words, her father's thoughtfulness, and the beauty of the vineyard created a perfect tapestry of love and memory. It was a reminder that family wasn't only about presents, but also about care, effort, and understanding. As night fell, the musician played one final soft tune, and Emily felt a gentle thrill run through her. She looked at Daniel, who smiled knowingly, and she understood something important. He had created more than a birthday celebration. He had created a moment of growth, reflection, and connection, a day that would shape how she viewed herself and her relationships forever. Every hug, every word, every gesture had been deliberate, carrying a depth of emotion that Emily would never forget. Emily glanced at the sky, now dotted with stars, and felt a quiet sense of peace. The vineyard, the music, her father's love, and her mother's memory combined to make her 18th birthday an unforgettable experience. She realized that life's most meaningful moments weren't always grand or extravagant. They were those filled with thought, care, and emotional resonance. This day, carefully crafted by her father, was a perfect example. Even as the celebration wound down and the guests had left, Emily lingered under the glowing trees, her father by her side. She knew this birthday had marked not just the end of her childhood, but the beginning of a new chapter. It was a chapter filled with hope, gratitude, and love. Emily's heart swelled as she hugged her father again, feeling a quiet happiness that words could hardly capture. She whispered, "I'll never forget this day, Dad." He smiled, a soft tear in his eye, and replied, "Nor will I. It's our memory forever." As they walked back toward the house, hand in hand, Emily felt a sense of anticipation for the future. The day had taught her about the power of love, family, and meaningful gestures. She understood that the most unforgettable moments weren't just about events. They were about the people who cared enough to make life special. Emily looked at her father one last time that night, gratitude and love shining in her eyes, knowing that this birthday would always hold a place in her heart, a day she would cherish for the rest of her life.